For one of the few times she was alone with her husband, her face was relaxed, and they chatted freely. Her hand seemed tiny in comparison to her husband's, enclosed as it was within his giant clasp. Yet despite the difference in size and the calloused skin across his palm, his touch was gentle and caring. Angharad was a tall woman amongst her peers, but Gruffydd stood at least a head taller than her again, and his muscular build, born of countless hours in the practice fields, made him stand out in any company, a characteristic welcomed by any man who called himself a king. His dark brown hair was kept short, as was his neatly trimmed beard, for though he was more at home on a battlefield, he was painfully aware that while he was a guest of King Olaf, he must endure the niceties of court life, especially if he was to gain any new allies in his long struggle against his usurper back in Wales. Gruffydd was the son of Cynan ap Iagol, a Welsh prince of the house of Aberfraw, who had inherited the kingdom of Gwynedd from his father. Cynan ruled for a few years, but died when Gruffydd was still very young, and the family had to flee to Ireland for their own safety. As he grew up, Gruffydd's mother told him of his heritage, and as a young man he had sworn a bloody oath to eventually rule Gwynedd and return the house of Aberfraw to its rightful place amongst the royal families of Wales. At first, his endeavours had proved fruitful, and he had staked his claim when, after the death of the incumbent king, Blethyn ap Cynfyn, several conflicts broke out, resulting in Gruffydd's defeat of another claimant called Traherne ap Caradog. However, Traherne had survived the battle, and after rebuilding his forces, had defeated Gruffydd at the Battle of Llyn, slaughtering Gruffydd's army in a cunningly prepared ambush, and claiming the throne of Gwynedd for himself. Gruffydd narrowly escaped death, and had retreated back across the Irish Sea while he considered his next actions. Several years had passed, and though he had since married, he thought of his homeland every day, and was impatient once more to reclaim the land he believed was rightfully his, the kingdom of Gwynedd in Wales. Gruffydd breathed deeply, his gaze resting on the faraway hills, knowing that far beyond them and across the Irish Sea lay the lands of his birth and the place where his heart longed to be.
"Your thoughts seem far away, dear husband," said Angharad. "Is there anything on your mind?"
Gruffydd squeezed her hand reassuringly.
"I am fine, my love, though I suffered a sleepless night."
"I heard you pacing the room," replied his wife, "as I have on many nights of late. Perhaps I should have come to your chambers."
Gruffydd smiled.
"Your attendance would not have helped, for my mind is a storm of thoughts with little chance of settlement."
"Anything I can help with?"
"Alas, no, for the pain is over battles past, and opportunities missed."
Angharad sighed inwardly as he said the words, frustrated by her husband. Their life together was good. Their status as family to King Olaf of Dublin ensured a privileged life, and they loved each other deeply. But as long as her husband had this shadow etched on his soul, she knew they could never be entirely happy.
"Surely this is not about your losses in Llyn?"
she asked, knowing deep inside she would not like the answer.
"A defeat is not easily forgotten to any man," said Gruffydd quietly.
"But that was so many years ago. I thought your heart was at peace with the outcome, and you had moved on."
"As did I," said Gruffydd. "But recently, I have found it in my thoughts every waking moment, and at night, my dreams are filled with the screams of those who died at my side."
"Gruffydd,"
said Angharad,
"you cannot hold yourself responsible for their fate. It was not your blade that cut them down. After all this time, surely you must realize it is time to lay their memory to rest."
"How can I?" replied Gruffydd, "when their blood is on my hands."
"I have oft heard you say that the death of any man in the servitude of a just cause is an honourable way to die."
"It is, but when that death is brought about by treachery and falsehoods, then they are wasted lives. I would go up against any man on the field of battle, as would my men, but to be tricked by the likes of Traherne in such a cowardly manner leaves the taste of poison within my throat."
"The Lord will settle his account in a suitable manner when his time has come."